Hi, my name is Natalie, and I have been practicing and teaching tantric meditations for the past 10 years. I have been doing sessions with men and women and couples, and I did a lot of work with myself along the way. Why tantric practices and tantric meditations? Because I did not experience pleasure in sex. I mean, I was always a very sexual woman. And that means that, when I was 15, I found out about sex and I used to make out with a lot of boys. Not a lot of boys, but like boys. And I had a boyfriend who I had my first sex with. And it was always fun and I always liked it. I did always get a lot of judgment from my surroundings for being like that. Although I didn't feel like I was like that. I was just being me. And I was young and horny and I was a teenager, but I did get a lot of judgment and criticism over my sexuality, even though it wasn't that wild. And anyway, I went through my 20s with a lot of bad experiences and a few relationships, like long-term relationships, where I lost myself in the relationship and in the sexuality. And I reached about the age of 25 and I started to explore and study this whole thing that was around like, can women orgasm just from penetration, or do all women need clitoris stimulation in order to reach orgasm? And until then, I can tell you that like I enjoyed sex, I enjoyed the penetration in sex, but in order to orgasm, I did need to have stimulation on my clitoris, which sounds strange to me today, but that's the situation. And then I heard all these women talk about like, oh no, women can orgasm just from the penetration. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I want to learn more. And I had a radio show and I had a bit on TV, like all local. And I had a column, like a sex column in this online newspaper thing. And I was exploring and finding out like what's the deal with female sexuality. And that's actually how I reached Tantra. And in Tantra, what I understood is that a lot of the, like most of the times I'm having sex, I'm trying to get something. I'm trying to reach a certain point. I'm trying to orgasm. I'm trying to get the man to fall in love with me. And I was having sex for many, many reasons, but I wasn't having sex for the pure reason of just experiencing pleasure and connecting to another person, connecting to myself, and connecting to God. Because I was not a very spiritual person back then. It took me a while to reach spirit and spirituality, and that's my life now, but back then I wasn't really into that. So when I was having sex with men, it was, first of all, for a lot of reasons. I was scared. I needed someone to take care of me. I wanted a boyfriend so I wouldn't be alone in the world. I wanted someone to support me financially. I wanted someone to be my dad, my father figure. And for that reason, many times I did sex, although I was not attracted to the person. And I didn't have any sexual energy towards that person, but I would still sleep with them. And when I had sex, after whatever reason it was, during the sex, I had these misconceptions like, oh, I'm doing this for him. Is this good for him? Does he like this? Does he like that? What does he want me to do? And I was very focused on the other person and I was not focused on myself at all. I also didn't touch myself that much back then and I wasn't very connected to my sexuality. So if I wanted to orgasm, I needed a man to do it for me. And if the man didn't know what he was doing, I was just very frustrated. I didn't know how to do it to myself. And so in the sex itself, besides thinking about what he wants, I didn't really pay that much attention to my pleasure and to my body. And when I did pay attention to my pleasure and my body, it was mainly to orgasm, to like come like a man. And that was very frustrating for me because not a lot of men were able to bring me to orgasm for many different reasons, mainly because I didn't know how to bring myself to one. But I was very like goal-oriented in my brain when having sex. And I think that's one of the reasons I had a lot of infections there and, weird stuff going on and bad relationships, and because it was always very goal-oriented. Now, men are very like goal-driven, where women a lot of the times are very emotional emotionally driven. So for us, it's about the experience and the journey and loving each other and having fun, where for men, it would be like for getting something, for reaching something, for achieving a certain goal. And I always connected more to men, and I was surrounded by men, and my thought system and my mind works more like a man than it does like a woman. And so I was very goal oriented when I was having sex. Now, maybe all women are, because we have this weird concept in our brain that the sex is for the man, and because the man is very like goal driven, so we become goal driven, and we think that the man just wants to orgasm. So what can I do? What posture, what thing can I do for him to orgasm as quickly as possible? Then he'll be satisfied and he'll love me forever for doing that for him, and he'll want to stay with me. And I don't think I had any like true, authentic connection to my own pleasure. So when I did orgasm, it had to be very strong stimuli on the clitoris for a very long time in order for me to reach orgasm, because I was not connected to my pleasure and I was very goal driven. And for me as a woman, the more that I'm driven by a goal, the less that I reach the goal, because my brain is just interfering from actually experiencing the thing that I want to experience. And I had to change. And, you know, when I saw that in sex I was very driven by goals, I realized that it was the same in life. Like I would do something and all I cared about was finishing it or ending it or reaching a certain goal. And I would just completely ignore the whole journey there, the whole experience. So if I was going on a trip somewhere, it would be about how do I get there? When do I get there? How much money I need? And I would always be like organizing stuff and arranging stuff, but I would never actually stop for long enough to actually enjoy the experience and experience pleasure from what I'm doing. And that was completely new to me. And so that is one of the most important things Tantra taught me. It's not about reaching a goal. It's about the journey that you go through to that goal. And yes, the goal can be fun, and orgasming can be fun, and coming and squirting all over the place can be fun. But that is just a very small portion of the actual experience, and it usually happens towards the end. So why am I so obsessed with that few-minute ending when I can have like half an hour or 40 minutes or an hour of pleasure and experience something with myself or with another person that is completely unrelated to the end goal? Because the end goal is to come and then you're done. And the whole way there is all the pleasure and all the fun and all the nice feelings and all the relaxation and, you know, the things that we want to actually experience in our life and in our sex. So I had to teach myself to not ignore the end goal, but to be more in the moment. Because when you're focused on the end goal, you're focused on the future. And it's good to be focused on the future, and it's good to have goals in general in life. But if I'm most of the time concentrated on the end goal, I'm missing what's happening now. So Tantra, meditation, yoga taught me to move my attention from the end goal, from the future, to what I'm experiencing now, which is the present moment. And in the present moment, that's where the pleasure is. It's not in the future, because the future is just a concept in our brain. It does not exist. The only thing that exists is now. What's happening in my body now? What do I feel now? Am I experiencing pleasure now? And for that, I need to bring all my focus and attention back onto my body and my breath and the present moment. And I can tell you that once I started to do that, I experienced so many more orgasms, and they were not only at the end, but like the whole sex becomes orgasmic. And it's not orgasmic like squirting all over the place. It's orgasmic like these waves of sexual energy that are going up to my crown and coming down and going up and coming down. And when I'm with a man, it's in sync with him, and something weird and strange and magnificent and amazing is happening. And I would never have that if I was just, you know, driven to or thinking about the goal, the end goal, the orgasm that we're going to reach in the end. And, you know, now I experience the whole spectrum of pleasure that you can experience with yourself or with another person. And, you know, after I realized these things during sex, it also started to come into my day-to-day regular life. And I'm like, even with regular things that I'm doing, even eating, like I just want to finish the meal and get it over with, but I'm not actually enjoying the food. Or I go to a meeting with someone, I just want to get it over with, and bottom line, and I'm not actually feeling or experiencing this other person that I'm sitting with or myself in this situation. I was not experiencing my life. I was always in my brain in the future. And the fact that it was happening in sex is just a mirror to all the other places it was happening in my life. And I think men are amazing, and I love men. And I think the modern world would not exist without the goal-oriented vibe of men. You know, I appreciate men so much. But I think as women, we have a place to balance men. And yes, the goal is important. And yes, we want to be driven by the thought of achieving the goal. But we also want to experience the pleasure and the excitement and all the range of different emotions and feelings that we can feel on the journey to the goal. So men and women complete each other. They're not fighting for who's better or who rules. We need both. We need someone who's very like on it and has a goal and, you know, does the work to achieve that goal. And then we need the woman to remind him, yes, but let's enjoy ourselves as we go. So they go together, but we're in a very like masculine society at the moment. So most of us are very like driven by our goals in life, and we forget to actually enjoy our life. And you can say that again on our life in general or sex specifically. So in sex, the tip that I wanted to give today for anyone who related to what I just talked about would be, if I'm a woman, I will masturbate, you know, in meditation. I'll do the tantric masturbation, but I want to like trick my brain, and I want to tell my brain, I don't want to orgasm, so let's do everything we can in order to not reach that point, and just, you know, focus on the pleasure and try not to orgasm. That's what I do sometimes with sexual energy. You know, instead of like, I really want it to happen, I really want it to happen. This is for women, of course. I really want it to happen, I really want it to happen. Instead of that, I switched and I'm like, I don't want this to happen. And then keep on with the pleasure. I don't want it to happen. And then keep on touching yourself and enjoying yourself and experiencing the sexual energy without this like bug we have in our brain that we have to orgasm in order to be like okay, and it says something about us if we don't, and we're going to feel much better after we do. We're not going to feel necessarily much better after we do. We might feel better if we actually experience true pleasure and not just force our body into experiencing something that it might not want to experience in that moment, but in our brains we think we have to. So that's what I recommend women, but also men. And with men, I find it's harder because they orgasm so easily that it's not an issue if I will or won't. It's a matter of like, can I hold it? And for men, it's a lot harder to hold, although some men have told me that it's hard for them to orgasm too. So let's do this. If it's hard for you to orgasm or reach climax, try not to reach orgasm or climax. Like, tell yourself, all right, I'm not even going to try today. I'm just going to see what happens. I'm going to touch myself, or I'm going to have the sex. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to put the orgasm aside. Let's just forget about the orgasm and let's focus on the pleasure and let's see what happens. Those are for people who find it hard to orgasm. If you find it very easy to orgasm, we might have to do some kind of shift in our brain because we might be obsessed or even addicted to the orgasm. As you know, or when we do orgasm or climax, we have a very specific cocktail of hormones that are secreted in our brains to our body. It includes adrenaline, it includes serotonin, it includes oxytocin, and other, like a nice cocktail of good feeling hormones. It also has a hormone that helps us attach or connect to the person we're with, which is why many people fall in love a lot of the times after they have sex. So we might be addicted to that cocktail hormone thing that happens in our body every time we orgasm. And then we might ask ourselves, like, can I have fun without the orgasm? Or is it something that I have to have? Or can I try and masturbate without coming in the end? And it's not about like, oh, no, like holding it in. A lot of people are like, I really held it in and it worked. I didn't orgasm. I didn't ejaculate or whatever. I'm like, no. That's not the point. The point is to be relaxed and to start to allow the sexual energy to rise in our body from our first chakra to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, all the way to the crown, and then back again, and all the way up and back again. It's a microcosmic cycle of sexual energy that we can activate inside our body. The point isn't to like hold it. The point is to transmute it and to elevate the energy up instead of down and out. So those are the practices I would recommend you do. Yes, I feel like not being able to orgasm and everything I talked about today, that's my experience, and it might relate more to women, but I feel like men also have issues there, so it might have helped you too, and you might not have that issue, but your wife or your partner might have it, so it's something to take into consideration. A lot of women are very goal oriented. They try and be like men. They think they need to orgasm, then their brain fucks them up and then they can't. So we want to kind of let go of that thing. And the more I let go of trying to orgasm, the more pleasure and fun and good energy I experienced in my sexual experiences. So, and again, because it was a mirror for what happens in sex, it's a mirror for what happened in life. I can tell you that in life, I'm a lot more relaxed, I'm a lot more calm. I've reached so many of my goals just by not trying to reach my goals, by experiencing the journey, the way there, the feelings, the emotions that I had on the way. By being more present, my future was much better and prettier than it was before, but it wasn't because I was so obsessed with the future as much as it was because I was obsessed with the present moment. And yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Good luck with your orgasms. If you liked my video, please subscribe and like and comment, because I do upload more videos than ever. I've been doing it for quite a while now, and the channel's been growing slowly. It's something that I'm still learning how to do. I know that there are a lot of amazing people online doing amazing content, and I'm trying to get in there and bring my stuff online so we can raise awareness and get more people doing meditation during sex and feeling themselves more and fulfilling themselves more and living the life that they should be living. And that's my main goal. So yeah. And if you have any thoughts about what I talked about in the video today, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in my next video.